this monkey for now, Frankenstein?
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Why, a 4-year-old child could understand this report. Run out and find me a 4-year-old child. I can't make head or tail out of it.
Faravelli, you've got the brain of a 4-year-old boy, and I bet he was glad to get rid of it.
My fate is up to you.
Now I'd be shitting my pants if I was you.
Once more to the breach, my friends. Welcome everybody to the post-mortem episode for Your List Sucks 100. We take the past 10 weeks out behind the set and shoot it in the back of the head. Welcome. Excited to be here. It was a long episode last week. 5 hours. Thank you all for those who made it through on the panel and in the chat. But it was fun. I had a good time concluding our lists. Learned a lot about everybody. All right, so this is where we talk about it. It's like going to be one long therapy session. All the rage and anger and repressed feelings that we have over the past 2.5 months is going to we're going to let it all out, guys. Going to let it out. Won't be as long, obviously. We're just going to go over everybody's, we'll talk about everybody's list. We got a combined list where, just like we do a regular Your List Sucks, except it's 100 movies instead of 10. And then I'll give out some grades, and we'll do a question and answer. So if you have questions, save them till then, and these guys will answer them for you. Before we go on, Cody, you want to talk about what's coming up next couple weeks?
Yes. So last week was a special week for all of us. We didn't really get to talk about anything. Just like Your List Sucks fashion, next week is a new show, and I have hardly any lists, so shocking. Next week we're doing mystery thrillers. Yes, a broad topic. You can literally put anything you really like. I don't care. Just send me a list so we can talk about it. Right now, Jack Pinchuk begged and pleaded that he can return to YLS. So right now he can, but please send me your list. That's next week. The following week is the worst fandom films, which you have about 300 to pick from. So submit a list to Tim. This is all Tim and Koho. I will not be on because, I gave over my show and I'm already taking a break. The next week, whatever we have. Crime comedies with Kaleb Boatman. Submit your list. Again, you have to steal shit and laugh about it. I'm pretty sure that's how crime comedies work. And then the following week after that, I don't know what any of these are. Movies that should be remade with Andrew Barr. The reason why some of these people are popping up is because I did a pre-recorded top 100. I told them I'd give them an episode. So Barr's hosting that. I have no idea what that's going to turn into. No clue whatsoever. He may pass the 5-hour mark just by himself. So tune in for that episode. It'll be still going probably. And submit your top 40. Your top 40 animated, because that series will be coming up soon. And then start working on your next top 100 because Kirk's back in it, and I will be far, far, far removed from it. So
yeah, that's like early fall, right, Cody?
Yes.
So we'll let you know. Don't send them now. We'll let you know when, but start working on them because it takes a long time. It takes longer than you think. But if you watch this and it appealed to you, you thought this would be fun. Put your list in. If you already submitted a list, you are going to have to resubmit lists. We didn't keep stuff left over. So if you submitted last time, submit again.
Kirk, you said that they have to have 100 new films, right? They can't have any of the films they put on their first list.
Nothing that was on. They can't have anything that was on any previous top 100 list at all. Yeah. They have to be all
including if we talked about it or anyone.
Well, Ethan and Zach cleared everybody of having those movies. So good luck for everybody.
Let's get started. What we'll do, we're going to talk about everybody's list individually, and we're not giving grades out yet, so I'm going to go in alphabetical order by first name. So we'll start with Brian, and I'm going to talk about it, but something else I want to do. We talked about everybody's movies, but real quick, everybody just give your overall impression of Brian's list. What did you think about Brian's list overall? What do you take away from Brian as a person based on his list?
Brian did everything that I expected Brian to do. There was not a lot of mystery or surprises that popped up. Maybe placement of things. Like maybe I thought Die Hard was going to be higher, but maybe I just haven't heard him talk about Raiders how much more he it's pretty close in that regards. But when he likes movies, man, he likes them, and he does not care about anybody whatsoever. Like, there are some movies that he'll die on that hill with. So, hey, he stuck true. And I guess, he was not boring like somebody else on this panel. So that, that's important.
My opinion of Brian did not really it was mostly what I expected. I will say there were a couple of surprises there for me. I was very much so expecting to see Bill and Ted on there. And I was some of the picks he had on there, I was shocked that even he would put on his list. And I'm sure we'll get more into those as we go, but one that springs to mind, basketball, for instance. So stuff like that,
Yeah. Oh.
Everyone's list I love because they're interesting except for Cody's. So I liked Brian because he included stuff like basketball. It was, it had enough unexpected surprises to go along the way. But really, I have more respect for your taste than I did before, because I think I would have expected basketball, or I was really worried about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom being in your top 10. It was just very nerve-wracking to me. But I think you get too much trash for having shitty taste. Your taste is just very specific. You like blockbusters, you like action movies, but the ones that you put at the top are the top tier, objectively within those genres. It's not like you're putting crazy movies, real high.
I actually agree with Brian's whole list. I got to say, I thought he had the best list here.
Brian did surprise me. It's kind of famous, how me and Brian hate each other based on our taste in movies, and we take it way too personal. But he does. I'll say he has some of the worst movies I've ever seen on his list, like Basketball, Empire Records, Tenacious D. Some movies I really hate. But he also, Brian had, I think, maybe the lowest lows, but he also had some of the highest highs. He had some really solid movies. Like Zach said, what he likes, he picked the Cadillacs of his genre. He picked some really good stuff. So, and he finished strong. The top of his list is really good. I was pleasantly surprised by Brian's list. There's a couple picks there, Way of the Gun. I had never seen that. I had certain opinions of what I thought that movie would be. When I saw it on Brian's list, I thought that completely confirmed my opinions of what that movie would be. And then I watched it, and it was actually really good. And it was not something I expect. So that was if I picked, I'm going to try to pick from everybody's list one movie that really was a really pleasant surprise. I think that's my pick for Brian's list. Moulin Rouge. Yeah,
Andrew, stop starting trouble. Come on.
It broke the whole family. It broke the entire family.
It did. I could have
I united the family. What are you talking about?
I could have had my wife, my daughter, and my mother-in-law on here to yell at Brian about how to watch that movie. It was a nightmare experience. That's Brian's list. Next would be Cody. We'll save Zach for last on this one because I know he has a lot of stuff to say about Cody's list. Ethan and Brian, what do you guys think about Cody's list overall?
Cody's was probably the one that was closest to my taste just by default, because Ethan and Zach are Ethan and Zach. So I agreed with a lot of Cody's picks. There's certain directors and actors things he likes clearly far more than me. There wasn't a lot on his list that I could say that I dislike, just stuff I didn't like as much. I was surprised. I didn't realize Cody was so into a lot of these older movies that's popped up on his list. He didn't strike me as a classic kind of guy, but I think I know he's been watching a lot more of them, and I was just surprised to see him so high on his list so fast.
Cody's list, I think it surprised me less than Brian's in that it's like if you took if you Googled AFI top 100 movies and Film School Reject top 100, or maybe not them, but AFI top 100 and a couple other movie blog top 100s, and you can compile them and kind of sort it through them. That's kind of the list we got, which is he hit the classics, he got the good ones. Which means that he's got a ton of great movies, because most of those movies are really great. It's just very safe, very. It's the movies that you expect to see on a top 100 list, which. I can't judge him for, because those movies are great. They just don't speak to me as much as they speak to most people.
Yeah, I was about to make a comparison to Cody's list being made by like a person who just finished their freshman year of film school, but I feel like that's really inaccurate because there would be more like foreign language and like art house things that they saw for the first time. He's more like the senior in high school that just discovered like what movies are and like decides they want to go to film school. Because like I watched 12 Angry Men, like film is magical. I'm going to go to film school. So you're pre-film school, Cody, which means you're going to come back on and have like Kieslowski movies on in 2 years. That's your next step after your freshman year of film school. You're just a coward. I never knew that you cared so much about what other people think, and you just want to impress your friends. And everyone goes, "Cody, you have such good taste. You have The Godfather and Scorsese movies." And when deep down, I know in your heart, Fever Pitch is the best. You might even be a Taxi fan. I think you're just Jimmy Fallon's biggest film fan, and it all should have been on your list. Because this is a show made to be engaging, and you care a lot about having engaging moments, so not when it's on you, only when you get to shout about other people's weird shit, but you should have your own weird shit to create surprise moments. It's boring. Boring ass shit. There's no surprises. That's the issue. You just need surprises. Good movies.
I mean, yeah. I mean, 4 is the boring answer to 2 plus 2, but that don't make it wrong. I just
so much ass that I put The Departed over Goodfellas just for Kirk Kolakowski. That's what I did.
If you ask me,
Lion King won.
If you ask me who I'd rather have a beer with, the guy who says 2 plus 2 equals 4, or the guy who says 2 plus 2 equals 5, and I can tell you why.
You once had a beer with that guy. Do you really want to open this wormhole?
Well, the one who says 5 is an idiot. No one want to have anything to do with him.
No,
he wants more pajamas.
He's going to spend the night telling you about all his flat Earth theories.
Now you turn.
He's the guy with say anything that holds the boombox over your head.
Cody's list was steady. I'm not going to lie about that. I think there's no secret. Me and Cody have a lot of similar tastes. The one big difference I'm seeing on Cody's list that I didn't have as I go through the whole thing is Cody's taste in comedy is a lot different than mine. You know, and I mean, I'm not saying like any of these movies are awful, but to me, they're just nowhere. Like these aren't movies I see as top 100, where like Big Daddy and Step Brothers, like that kind of stuff. Cody, a lot of those kind of movies on air where, and I think. Like I said, that's the big. I think the big separation between me and Cody. I'm looking here. The one movie I watched for Cody's list that I think that I had not seen before that I liked the most was probably Mississippi Burning. That was a really solid movie. I'm glad I got to watch that. But yeah, like I said, I mean, you guys are right, Cody. There's no real off the wall, but that's who Cody is. I mean, just like Brian. You know, there's no Brian didn't throw any weird stuff at you because that's his taste. But yeah, like I said, it's a steady list. I mean, it's a good mix of classics, blockbusters. I mean, again, I think another thing Cody has more than me is animated. You know, Lion King being number 1. That's a big difference for me. A lot of the Disney stuff. You know, Remember the Titans. That's the kind of stuff I'm not going to have on my list. But you know, he still had a lot of solid stuff on there. Next, we're going to talk about Ethan's list. I know everybody loved Ethan's list. So good. Give your opinions on that.
So to describe Ethan's list, because Glenn, I kept my mouth shut and, I took everything they said. Ethan goes to Letterboxd and like clicks popularity and says least and says, yep, I'm going to like this shit because no one else has seen it. And then I'm going to make people watch my weird shit and then tell them they're wrong because they don't like my weird shit. But guess what? The general population doesn't like my weird shit. And then also it goes up 2.5 stars if it has a dick in it at any point in time. And then apparently if it's shot in all purple and has Nick Cage in it, it can be the second best movie of all time. So I can sit there and be the safest pick in the world, but at least I'm not a pretentious hack that walks in here and acts like these movies are actually good, and you sit through them and you had Gremlins too. Let's not act like this is just the stuff that you just walk around and you're this great film fan. I've never even been to film school. I don't give a shit about film school, but you're walking in here with these artsy takes. You literally had a movie that you watched like what 2 months ago from the Sundance on your list.
I
Shut
watched
up.
it, by the way. It's fine.
Oh, is it top 100 worthy already? Nope.
No, I won't be top 100 of the year. Not top 50 of the year. Ethan he's the people's champ. Cody's a man of the system. He is functioned with what the man tells him to put in his list, and Ethan does Ethan. He's rebelling against it. He is all in our hearts for being true to himself throughout. And I did want to like be up in arms about having Mandy at number 2, like a recent movie, but you brought out like the fucking like Cheddar Goblin. I don't even know what the Cheddar Goblin is, or even that's name. But you have like the merch. You might be the only person with that hat. It might be the only hat available. It's still just worth $1 because no one cares. But you
Spend
do,
more than $1
and that's
on
what
it.
matters. Oh Jesus, oh that's a mistake. But you care, and you made it know you care, even though like this is a 2-year-old movie that seemingly doesn't really matter to society, but makes it interesting. And everyone has told me privately that they love you, and they hate Cody.
Yeah, Cody kind of said it best because Ethan's the kind of guy who like he doesn't want to go. He refuses to go to like the AMC Multiplex. He'll only go to the shitty, rundown independent theater that shows the weird movies no one's ever fucking heard of, and he loves those. I mean, but Ethan's. I wouldn't say that the weird shit he picked on his list surprised me because I totally expected all that shit. What surprised me was when something like mainstream showed up, like have Princess Bride and Little Shop of Horrors, in his top 10, and Back to the Future was up pretty high for him, which he just doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who likes that kind of thing. So it was when the mainstream stuff popped up, the stuff I actually liked, I was surprised he had anything that I agreed with, to be honest with you. Although I was happy to see he got the Bill and Ted's on there. So,
By the way, I have 8, but I normally drink on the show, but I always keep it pretty casual, like 2 beers max. Just last week I'm getting drunk, so I ate, but there's going to be some drunken attitude happening.
Yeah, Ethan's list is. I mean, you guys are right. I mean, Ethan went for it. I mean, that's all I'll say about Ethan. He went for it. But don't forget that Return of the King was his number 1 movie, which is for the rest of that. You look at
that is something I'm very surprised with.
You look at his 100 through 2, and then try to guess that Return of the King is going to be his number 1. You're not going to get there. You're not going to connect.
I was surprised by that because he has a girlfriend, and Middle Earth fans don't tend to have girlfriends.
I almost lost her when I made her watch all 3 extended editions.
You're right there, Brian.
But yeah, this is. But yeah, I mean, Ethan's had a ton of weird stuff on his list. And again, like I said, I've said this before. I said all through the show. Even if I don't love a weird movie, I respect the attempt. And I'm, if you give me a bad weird movie, I'm going to respect that more than just like a run-of-the-mill bad regular movie, like a mainstream movie. Like at least if you're trying to do something different. So Ethan did score some points on that. I think the best movie I watched on his list was Burning, which I think was your top 20 or 30 somewhere.
Or maybe it was. Let's see. It was 42.
Okay. But yeah, I really liked that. I've been wanting to watch it for a while and finally got to because of Ethan's list. And that was a really, really good movie. A lot of other weird stuff I watched. I watched Mr. Nobody. I watched Risk Cutters. And yeah, Risk Cutters I thought was pretty good. It was like an interesting concept. And I'll take that. A lot of Ethan had a lot of his horror stuff on there, the Hellraisers, Texas Chainsaw Massacres. But he also, I'm just looking here, Casablanca, Alien.
Kirk. Don't throw me under the bus there.
So yeah, I mean, Ethan had for again, it's like almost like Brian, where we talk about Brian, like Brian likes all those dumb bad movies. But he had a lot of good stuff on us. The same with Ethan. Ethan had a lot of solid picks on there too. So scores are going to be a little tough. And so finally we get to Zach. Let's talk about Zach's list, everybody.
Yeah, I'll go really quick. I mean, very similarly to how Zach felt about my list, I felt about his, where I loved that he picked the movies he loved. He didn't care what anyone else thought, and he stuck to his guns, and he went for it, and it was really fun. I think he, for me, had the most fun flip-flops between, like, a children's movie that most people wouldn't expect, and an incredibly dark, depressing movie, something really bleak, and then back to like Winnie the Pooh or some shit. Like that was a blast. Lots of Muppets on this list, which, you know, once again, that's awesome. You know, Zach likes his Muppets. And even if I don't agree with his movies, I think he had a lot of interesting picks, and it was really fun to guess what he would have coming next. And I thought we would have a little bit more crossover, like I thought maybe some David Lynch or something, but I feel like he's given me the most that I really want to like seek out and watch now, especially something like Phoenix. I really want to watch. And then there was a couple others, but yeah, I'll have to go back because Zach's got a bunch of really unique picks.
Zach's for me was the most insanely random list of everybody. I mean, I don't know Zach very well. I mean, I know him as the guy who likes Muppets. You know, I know he likes some animated films, things like that. But then beyond that, I mean, if Cody was using the IMDb list, I think Zach was using one of those like movie picker sites, like picks a random movie for you to watch. He's just like next. Because it's like he'd go from, you know, his Muppets and animated to like some prestige drama, to some Ethan style weird ass movie, to some blockbuster, you know, very popular movie. It was just all over the place, which, you know, that's a good thing. I mean, eclectic taste, you know, a little bit of everything. So more power to him.
Yeah. Hey, Kirk, can I swap out? I forgot to put Citizen Kane at number 1. I need to appeal to this fucking list that apparently I forgot that I was making. No, I will say Zach had a lot of movies I enjoyed. Like he got some shit on some stuff that I am just blown away by. Like I think the Paddington films, as a dad, like of animated, I enjoy the Paddington films quite a bit. I enjoy the Before trilogy. Like I didn't put it on my list, so shit, I can't get shit for it. But I enjoy those movies. I enjoy Dazed and Confused. I enjoy High Fidelity. He suggests that movie for me. So, like, I won't be a total douchebag to Zach like he's been with me this entire week. I think he had great choices. I just think if he stopped liking Winnie the fucking Pooh, we'd be even better friends. But other than that, I think he definitely did. He would like have Pulp Fiction mixed with Winnie the Pooh, back to Muppets to Inglourious Bastards. Like it was just, how do I put that? This is fine. Like there was no rhyme or reason to any of his lists. So. I mean, hats off to him. Apparently, there's an order, but I don't believe it at this point.
So,
the two things that I want to remember about Zach's list are cartoons and pseudo-intellectual douchebags. Those are the two things that Zach loves. But no,
describe me. I am a pseudo-intellectual cartoon of a human.
Ethan hit the nail on the head. We could take pull the curtain back now. That's exactly why I picked Zach for this list. If somebody goes from Taxi Driver to Winnie the Pooh to Inglourious Bastards to the Muppets, I could not have that list on the show. I mean that's what got Zach here. So I mean, for better or for worse, I think he definitely had one of the most entertaining lists. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of like. I mean, Ethan's picks were weird, like in like, you know, a puppet penis is the main character in my movie. Zach's pick were weird, just like because it was like Winnie the Pooh, like it was two different kind of like stuff coming out of left field. So yeah, but Zach, again, you guys all had like core. I mean, you're all like busting each other for like, oh, you had boring picks. Everybody had you all had like Casablanca and Glorious Bastards. You all had like some really like Goodfellas. Most of you had like Brian. I'd say Brian was the one out of all you who avoided those the most. Brian's the one, other than like Die Hard, Back to the Future. If you're talking about like the film school wannabe movies, I think Brian had the least of those. Not necessarily to his credit, but
I was going to say, like, good thing for you.
But if you want to talk about who was considering. That kind of stuff, the least I would say it was Brian.
Yeah. I've been hard on Cody, but we did have the most in common of anybody at least.
I was like we spent 3 weeks yikesing everybody's, and I get for a film taste. Like, this is insanity.
But with that, we'll come back a little bit for scores and give your final grades and see who won. But before that, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the entire combined top 100 list. So we're going to just do it like we've done before. We're going to start with 100, go 10 at a time, and we'll just talk it out and see what we think about it. So, Koho, you want to go ahead and bring up the 100 through 91? All right, guys.
Oh, for the love of God! Oh God!
What doesn't belong? What's too high? What's too low?
Point
what do you guys
Break and
think?
Winnie the Pooh. Kill me now.
Yeah,
I love the
Point
Point
Break should be
Break.
higher.
Better than Beauty and the Beast. Some bullshit.
There's only 2 of my movies on there, and they should be up in the teens.
Yeah, I think all 3 of my movies up there should be way higher.
This is
Fly and Point Break.
Is Philadelphia the only one that's been on 2 people's list? All the rest were just the ones, I think. Yeah.
No, I think 2 you had Beauty and the Beast.
I have you.
Oh.
Yeah.
I had it.
And
But
2
yeah,
you-
Philadelphia,
2
Major
people had
League.
Philadelphia. Yeah. Man, this I guess that's that 92 through 94 is a bad run. Everything else out here I could take, but like I'm looking at that and I'm thinking.
Well, Do the Right Thing was originally my 100 before I took it off, so I'll take it. That's quality.
I mean, I'm just looking at that top 3 in the middle, and I'm like,
Zodiac at 99 makes me sad.
Yeah.
This is a rough start, guys.
Of the ones that weren't on my list, Zodiac and Major League I like. Although I wouldn't call Major League top 100, but at least enjoy the movie.
Do
if
the
you
Right
put-
Thing.
All right,
being below
Moulin
Point
Rouge,
Break
okay.
And Temple of Doom is insane.
I love Temple of Doom there. Like, that's fantastic. Who had Temple? Just Brian?
Brian.
Yeah,
I don't know, like the teens or 20s, so.
the thing was
That's
way too low,
great.
guys.
The Thing was definitely too low.
Yeah. All right, let's
23 was Temple of Doom.
bring up his next 10.
The Thing shouldn't be in the middle of the list.
Oh my God, Brian.
Oh
Fletcher just
my!
scored.
Oh my God!
This part got taken over by Ethan.
I love it. I love this one.
Oh
The
man.
Shawshank Redemption is 89, while Nightbreed is 84. This is a mint list.
This
Nick
looks like Zach's list. You got comic book, animated, sci-fi, horror, Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset.
All over the
This is like
place.
a party, and Sunset and Shawshank are just like in the corner holding each other, crying. Like, why are we here?
I mean, this is me and Ethan collaborated. This is,
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. There's Nightbreed is terrible. Jungle Book doesn't belong.
Jungle
to it.
Book,
Yeah.
Avengers. Oh,
I mean, adaptation's way too low as well. I'll say that.
Oh
for
my
sure.
God. Oh,
this
what's
is
next?
painful.
Yeah, this is a rough start, guys. You got some catching up to do.
Well, these are like all
Nick
the ones that
Tewey,
are high on
please
one person's
remove-
list, and just enough to get it on.
Hey, guys! Everybody who's considering putting in a list for the next series,
This is how you
do better. They're setting the bar low for you guys. I mean,
Yeah,
you
guys,
can,
only the IMDb top
you can-
250 movies.
you
That's
can
all we
definitely do
want.
better than this. I think there's a difference between IMDb top 250 and Nightbreed. Okay,
Nightbreed,
yeah, there's a little bit of
Jeez,
wiggle
Louise.
room there, Ethan. What's next?
What the hell are we? Jungle Book is in there. Oh, I have.
Okay.
I have.
This is
Oh, okay.
better.
Oh,
It's a pretty good.
I just saw 80 and.
But the rest of it is like pretty
Yeah.
well revered.
I actually think this is the best part of our list.
Yeah,
I still
we're-
haven't seen half of these in full.
That's why it's the best and most well revered.
We're definitely crawling out of the mire here. This is, 80s rough, but that's kind of like the light into the tunnel because things. I mean, there's nothing other than 80. There's nothing here that I hate.
I'm just glad Irishman is so
Hey
low.
Brian, how do you feel? Okay, disrespect. How do you feel that Moulin Rouge is higher than Sunset Boulevard right now?
Don't ask him
Do
that.
you want me to answer that?
Please don't. Moulin Rouge is much higher than anything else. But yeah, I mean, this is okay. Yeah, I think the 70s. Good job with the 70s, guys. I'm proud of you. We're doing better.
I want to watch Brief Encounters. I haven't seen it yet, but
Bill and Ted's are about to appear in the next 20, so
I know.
Get on with that.
All right, lay it on us, Koho.
Oh, here comes Swamp Ass.
This is a decent list. I like this.
Yeah,
This is a very film bro-y list.
I actually
This
have.
is a very Phil Broy list.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
I know Kirk. hates
Meaning they're good
61.
movies. Yes.
I know Kirk doesn't like 61, but overall, the list I don't have really any issues.
Nothing here. Well, I mean, there's stuff here that doesn't belong. If I had to pull one thing, well, it'd be tough. I mean, Wally's way too high. Yeah, I mean,
If
this
you
is,
pull something, does something move up? Because the Moulin Rouge is 79. So be careful. What
no,
you're saying.
Moulin Rouge is. If I could have a say, Moulin Rouge is gone.
You,
Um,
We'll add a veto next year.
Oh, that'll be beautiful. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
You can tell how film bro-y that list was by how like bluish silver or yellowish green. All those pictures were.
And then we start getting the
film bro-y
orange and
colors.
teal, then get into more blockbuster stuff.
Oh my gosh. I think Fellowship's a little low, but
Yeah, agreed.
especially after my extended, I think I would put the first two movies on my list. Honestly,
Nice.
All right, what's next? Okay, just seeing all this
hate
slapped
this.
together.
This is a
I
weird
am
list.
not having fun right now.
I
Wow.
like this entire list except for Spotlight.
Okay, well, guess what? I don't like
That's
Ghostbusters.
the
So
one to take out.
we're the same. And Green Room at 58.
I know. Come on, that belongs in like top
I
20.
Of all time, I agree. Although I do like Green Room.
When you look at this list up front, you just see pure happiness because you have Kermit smiling at you, you have Woody smiling at you, you got a ghost.
Oh,
You
wait,
got
is that
Bill and
that's
Ted.
2011's.
Who brought the joy to this list?
Imagine going out into the real world and just showing somebody this list of 10 movies and asking them to make some kind of sense out of it. Which is that's Dead Man's Chest, right? Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, Ghostbusters good, Tobey May good, Dead Man's Chest good, Edwin Game good. Yeah, then yeah.
Because I'm the only one, and that's.
I mean, out of all of these, I'm definitely getting rid of Dazed and Confused. That's the one that definitely goes for me. That's
You don't see the pedophilia priest at least on the poster. That would be a weird poster.
There's also technically pedophilia in Dazed and Confused. You don't see that either. Just saying.
I'm not
Just
having
saying.
fun.
There actually is not because you don't see any action happening.
Well,
Just thinking about it, it's not pedophilia.
As long as you don't touch them, it's all right.
Oh god.
Oh my god, it gets worse. It's like the worst Bill and Ted movie, the worst Avengers sequel.
Okay, the worst.
Based on music is usually the worst.
Worst out of the two. The worst for the between Infinity War and Endgame.
Well, I disagree. I think Endgame, but I'm sitting there watching Heat die alone at the bottom. My bogus journey and knocked up get to live almost for the
First strikes
start.
back at 47. Come on.
Don't put knocked up in the same sentence as bogus journey. Fucking appalling.
I mean, okay, that's fair, but still, what the hell are we doing here? This is a terrible list. This is a terrible list.
Bill and Ted's got to go.
I mean, this is a pretty good list. You got Mary and Max, Blade Runner, and Eternal Sunshine, like Rushmore. These are some good. Empire. This is a good list.
Hey, next, anybody else watch that?
Heat is going to have counseling being this close to a Wes Anderson film. Like this is just disrespectful.
Wait,
Wes Anderson. Oh, and no comeback. Great.
Guys, let me clarify. When I said Infinity War was the worst, it was the worst of the two between that and Endgame on the last list. I'm not saying it's the worst sequel. I'm saying between those.
So you're about to come on with some real Ultron takes.
No.
I love the mindless robots. Well, I don't. Hey, guess what? Can we just turn off the show? I don't want to get to the 30s. I have no desire.
Yeah, this is gonna get.
Oh well.
Hey.
We're gonna start getting to the stuff.
Oh god, Mandy's up this high. Oh,
It's silent. Oh,
how is Raiders of the Lost Ark at 33? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Silence of the
never.
Lambs is sitting next to lower. Oh my god.
Well, I'm just happy because we made a smart choice of making sure Cody's number one was the last of all our number one.
There's all our number ones made the 30s. That's it.
33, 34, 35, 36 because there's no crossover in their number ones.
The Departed. Okay, at least it's 36. That's fine. Oh god.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
What are you going to take away, Kirk?
Bring it back up. When do I take it off that one?
Mandy.
Don't you fucking dare. You leave Mandy right where it is.
It's either Mandy or High Fidelity.
Take out my number one. That's an ass move.
Take out my number two. That's also an ass move.
Yeah, that's those are definitely the bottom tier of that part of it.
Well, we've seen our number one, so there'll be no more solo movies.
Oh my god.
This is a pretty good list.
Everything's in common. Yeah, because we start having everything in common.
Which Kill Bill is that?
Yeah. Which of the two Kill movies?
Well, it would have to be one. That's the one we all had in common.
Cody, this is the one thing we'll forever unite on.
We will. It's one film. I just hate
Did
that
two
The Godfather.
people have
I
Little Shop of
hate-
Horrors?
Yeah, I think two people had it. I hate that The Godfather is sitting lower than Little Shop of Horrors.
I
I
love it.
I love it. I'm so happy about that.
That is gross.
That run of 7 Castlevania.
Wait till you see the next 20
Godfather
movies that are
movies.
above it.
What'd you say?
I gotta say, Speed's the odd man out here. I don't hate it, but definitely with the rest of these movies, Speed's got to go.
That's Gladiator. Trump, boot that shit.
You're a bitch. Oh my god.
This is actually a very good list.
I'm proud we got remembered the Titans high up on the list.
That's really high.
I mean, as someone that had Goodfellas, Remember the Titans, Scream, Singing in the Rain, The Apartment, and Jaws, and The Social Network, I'm having a great time. This is a great.
I'm sad Die Hard's so low, but this is a great.
The hell that Die Hard is lower than Monty Python.
There are some bad movies here, guys.
What are some bad ones? Go ahead.
Goodfellas, yeah.
Titanic,
all good.
Singing in the Rain, Holy Grail.
Holy Grail is fantastic.
You guys should be ashamed that you let these in your top 20. I mean, this is going to follow you around the rest of your life. You're going to get job interviews. People are like, number 13, Titanic.
That's the best list because there's like so many genre-defining movies on that list. Like Jaws defining the blockbuster. Monty Python could say defining like a comedy. A Scream like reinventing what horror was. There's a lot of like very important genre movies within that list.
It's true.
I hope so.
Singing in the Rain is like definitive musical.
I agree. You hating Singing in the Rain, you're just a bad person. If Gene Kelly like hops off the light post and gets shot in the face, Kirk's like fucking 5 stars. This is what I needed.
Yeah, that movie still sucks.
Joseph out here every single time saying my least favorite on this list is always my pick. I'm always
So, we're getting this is going to be the top 10 now. We're going to see here, right?
Yep.
God, I don't want to look.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Oh, for fuck's sake! Number 9.
That belongs.
Oh,
I mean, that belongs
but
top
can
10. I'm
we-
happy with that.
I thought Princess Bride was gonna be our one.
Can
That
we
makes
talk about how sexy that 1 through 8 is? Man, now that's a top 10.
I mean, it keeps going.
It's got flipping herpes on it, herpes at 9, and then Almost Famous is the cream that you got to put on it. But man, that's a top 9 we can be proud of. Oh man, I just hate that there's this black spot.
Did you hear that, Ethan? He just said it's top 9 you can be proud of.
What's 11?
Yeah.
What's the
agree.
11th movie? What was the 11th? Oh, Social Network at 10. Oh, that's and
I think
Almost
the whole
Famous
top
at
10 is
9.
very strong.
That's gorgeous.
This looks like a real top 10 by everyone who like lived their adolescence from 85 to 95.
Bring it back up, Koho. I want to see it. Yeah, it's so. I mean, I would say I do. Mad Max is the odd man out here. I mean,
You're crazy.
I'd say it's. I'm
better
not
than
saying
Almost Famous and
I'm not
Basketball.
saying it's bad, Ethan. I'm just saying number 9 all time. That's nuts.
I know it's more like number 5 or something.
Get out of here. You didn't even put it number 5. What are you talking about?
Road?
Or did you? Did you have this number 5?
Oh no, I was wrong. Sorry, I had it number 4.
Oh, geez, that's
I had it at 26. So I think 9's high, but I still
almost famous. I mean, that's borderline. And there's movies on there like E.T. and Harry Met Sally wouldn't be on, but I mean, I can't complain about it.
I'm so happy when Harry Met Sally made top 10. That is so nice.
All right, so combined list, guys. What are your overall thoughts?
It's a weird fucking list.
I mean, the top 20, at least, I think is actually a very strong list. Even the movies I don't like, I totally get it. I think the top 20 is really strong.
I thought the 10 was okay. Your 11 through 20 was a big disappointment.
The bottom half is really messed up, but that's because you get a lot of the stuff that like just one person had super high was enough to get it on that part of the list. So
I want to see the math because I don't know why Marquee wasn't on there. I had that up pretty high.
The 19 movies of the top 20, fine, no issues whatsoever. There's one that just doesn't deserve to be there. But overall,
that's the one you're picking out of the top 20. That one. That's
why I need to see 11 through 20 again.
Well, Kirk, yours you're picking out are all wrong. Don't come out here and say "Singing in the Rain."
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Out of the 11 through 20, I'm gonna take away the 9 versus the 19, but those would be the two that I would take away. But okay, 18 movies, not terrible. This is like, I will say, if you go to our 1 through 10, it has some similar crossovers from the other top 100s, but I think it's quite different. Pulp Fiction, I think it's the first time it won the number 1 spot on any of the top 100. And I think this is the first time Princess Bride is too. So with those two being our 1-2, I'm pleased with it.
Yeah.
And honestly, how we came together on certain movies is really surprising. Like, there's some that I just would never have guessed to be that high for some people.
Did all 4 of you have Inglourious Bastards?
3 of us.
did.
Okay. Yeah,
I think the only that all 4 of us had was Princess Bride and Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
Did you have Back to the Future?
I didn't have Back to the Future.
Okay. Yeah. So there it is. That's their combined. Like I said, that's
Go and binge watch them
history
all.
will judge you for good or for ill. There, guys. We'll see.
We'll
how
show
it
up at
plays
the
out.
the next time and compare.
That is going to be interesting. That'll be very interesting next time.
Hey, we don't have
all 3 lists. Have you done the combined?
Because here's the thing: we've done this 3 times now, and we've done it with people who are, for the most part, whose tastes are well known in the community. So we're going to start getting to people who are a little lesser known, who have been given less of a chance to talk, and it's going to be interesting just to see what different opinions we're going to start getting through.
I'm hoping for a Dylan Van Dyne and a Mark Menchaca. That's what I'm hoping for.
I would love to see Dylan Van Dyne on there. That'd be very interesting.
I think Dylan's would be. I think Scott Harvey too. I also have this taste, but like overall, I think he'll surprise because some of the stuff he keeps bringing up. Oh yeah. We never had Band Slam in the top 10. Let's remember those moments. And we didn't have Hamilton. We didn't have Hamilton in our top 10. So
didn't have Footloose 2011. Thank you, Brian, for not putting that on your list. I really appreciate it. But me and Scott on a panel with me would be really interesting because he and I have some. You think me and Brian go at it. I think you put me and Scott in a room together, it could get ugly because we don't see eye to eye on a lot. So I'm looking forward to next time. I'm looking forward to comparing yours because it's going to be. We're not going to get 4 people who are going to make a list like this again. I guarantee you that, no matter who we get. So thank you guys. It was a lot of fun. And now it is time. We're going to do, guys, again in the chat. I'm going to give grades. We're going to give scores, and then we'll do your questions. So if you have questions, get them ready. But without further ado, I'm going to give your scores and grades and tell you who lost, who won, whose list sucks. We'll start from the back. I'll say overall, I was pleasantly surprised. I think everybody won at least 1 week.
And you give those out.
Went in just at the end.
Yeah. Nobody had me like pissed off week in and went out. Nobody was like, and I expected some of you to do that, to like just be awful the whole time. And you all came through strong at a certain place. So nobody had like a list that I hated. So the lowest score is going to be a C. And so again, it's not a horrible score, but that goes to Mr. Zach Ford.
Lowest.
Zach's list was not the thing about list. Zach's list was so in the middle of he didn't have anything. He didn't have like Brian and Ethan had some of the worst movies I ever saw. Zach didn't have any of that, but he didn't have the high highs everybody else had. Zach just had the most movies like, what are these doing on the top 100? Not these are awful and they suck and you're terrible for liking them, but what are they doing in the top 100? Like I said, where Ethan's weirdness was like really weird, Zach's weirdness was just really that movie. I forgot to bring up Atonement for Zach's list when I talked about it. I loved Atonement. I just saw that pop up here. That was a great movie. That was probably my favorite one from his list. But it's a C overall. Like I said, too much Before Sunset, too much High Fidelity, too much Dazed and Confused, too much just stuff that's not on for me. But God bless you, Zach. I'm glad you came. It was fun. Like I said, I as soon as I saw your list, I was like, we are not having this guy on the show. So you kept us entertained for 2.5 months. I appreciate it.
I had a miserable time.
Next with the C+ is Mr. Ethan Beller. Ethan, he scored. Ethan's biggest points were the fact, I call him the Gremlins 2 factor. A movie that I don't love, but I respect it for being on the list because of its weirdness. Maybe that's the difference. I respected Ethan's weirdness more than I respected Zach's. No offense, Zach. But he had like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey at number 5, which is crazy, and just Mulholland Drive, looking at Holy Grail. Just too much stuff that kept him out of contention. But it was, again, another very fun list. Another list I definitely would have. Again, pull back the curtain a little bit. There's a little bit of a formula that they try to go with when they're building a panel. We kind of broke that mold because Ethan and Zach were like the same. Were like that Nazario, Jake Marangoni type of guy. Usually we don't have one of those, but I had to have both these guys because our lists were both so great. So Ethan, again, not a bad list. C+. It's a passing grade. You're moving on, but just like I said, a little too much hold you back. In first place, with we'll say A-, Mr. Cody Newberry. I don't think anybody was incredibly shocked by this. I think people saw this coming, but it's no secret me and Cody have a lot in common. And Cody, the thing about Cody, and when I disagree with him, I didn't disagree with him like crazy. Like Cody didn't have anything that I hated. Like his picks that were like his worst picks to me were like the Big Daddy, the Step Brothers, stuff like that. That to me does not belong in any way, shape, or form on a top 100 list. But I'm not angry at him for liking those movies. He didn't have a lot of. He had some really super high highs and didn't have any of the lows everybody else had. Number 2, Brian. I know that's a big surprise. Think about Brian. Brian finished strong. I was going back through and looking real close at everybody's list. Brian probably should have won 20 through 11. Brian had probably the strongest top 20. Most of Brian's picks, and going back to Zach, that was the difference between Brian and Zach. Zach's best movies were towards the bottom. His got weirder and more out of control the higher he got. Brian's picks got stronger as he went. He finished really strong. Other thing, Brian was smart. Brian said he wasn't concerned about his grade. He didn't care about winning or losing this. He thought he was going to lose, blah, blah, blah. Brian played the game because when certain movies got brought up, I know Brian's true feelings on the Godfather movies, on Scorsese. Brian was smart. Brian kept his mouth shut. Brian said, it's not for me. But I respect it. Brian kept those snide comments about great movies that he would normally make in any other situation to a minimum. And that's what I think that's the main thing. One of the main things are in Brian's second place. So, Brian, I'm going to give you a straight, I'm going to give you a B-. Yeah. And again, like I said, just because of Brian finished so strong. So, it'll be Brian versus whoever, or Cody versus whoever by the end of the year to see who comes out on top. Is our 2020 overall champion, but those are your grades. So we're going to do questions now, guys. If you got questions, put them in the chat, and we'll get to them. Anything you guys want to ask about their lists, their movies, their opinions on each other's lists, throw those out there now. But I'm going to start by asking the question we always ask: what movies? Since it's been probably 3-4 months since you made your list, at least. What movies in the course of us doing the show would probably be on your list now that didn't make it, or what are movies that you would remove that maybe you had on and rewatch whatever and aren't as keen on now?
Let me pull up my database.
One other thing, I just want to take exception with your thing about Godfather and Scorsese, because I've always said with like Godfather and Goodfellas that they're good movies that aren't my taste. When it's shit, like Irishman, I'll say it.
It is what it is.
Oh, all right. I got 2 right off the bat, 2 easy ones. One, Chungking Express would probably. I just saw that like a week or two ago in a theater 4K restoration. That probably would have been like top 10 for me. That movie has become one of my favorite movies ever, and it should have been higher for me.
Movie rules. Great movie.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. That was way too low on my list. And then number 2, the original Wicker Man from the 70s. I had not seen that when I made my list, and I saw it, and it is incredible. It would have been in my top 100 for sure. Very weird, kind of like a folk musical horror movie. It's incredible. Everyone knows the memes from the Nick Cage ones, the one I used to know, but the original Wicker Man is like incredible.
Movies that would have made my list, or are we talking about movies that should have been made our list, or the ones that should be taken off our list?
You said either one.
Both.
Okay. So I think overall, the ones that would go higher now are Kramer versus Kramer and Dog Day Afternoon. I think those would shoot pretty high up on my list of just how much I enjoy those films. One that I watched just recently that was just totally misjudged on. I would probably put Manchester on by the Sea, at least in my bottom half of it. But that movie, I don't know what I was thinking that movie so bad or so depressing and not good performances. That movie's incredible. Movies that probably would take off my list now, probably Step Brothers. I think that time is on my I enjoy it, but it's probably not there anymore for me. And I think probably Guardians of the Galaxy probably would move from my list to make way for I should have put Do the Right Thing. Thinking back on it now, but
yeah. As far as what should just be higher, Lady Eva had in the 30s, and I watched it the week of it. It should be top 20. That movie is just fantastic and sexy. My favorite word. I already mentioned on the show that Garden State would have been the one I probably would take off. That was one that was kind of stuck in my nostalgia. If I made a list of, I know Boatman did this, that I think is an interesting experiment, is making a list of movies that you would have at some point in your life from birth to now consider being one of your favorites, and Garden State was just definitely one of those for that period of time. And movies that maybe should have made the list. There's a second I thought Koho might have been hosting one, and I was going to put this avant-garde Czech movie called Daisies as my 100 just to fuck with them. But I also that movie's enjoyable. It's like watching Looney Tunes if they were made by an artsy Czech director. And the other Toy Stories, especially 2 and 4, I just kind of left out for Toy Story 1. And there's a couple that I just haven't seen in a long time, like Top Hat, or Belle de Jour. Some of these classics that just been a while that I just kind of left off, for that reason.
For me, I don't know there's a whole lot that I would necessarily take off the list. There's stuff that I know that my placement was, I think I said even when I brought them up, that after rewatching them again, I'd flip the 2, Avengers Endgame, Infinity War. Shakespeare in Love, I admitted that I didn't mean to put that high on my list. But I'd still be on top 100, but it wouldn't be that high. Couple I rewatched I would probably do higher on my list. Thomas Crown Affair, I just love that movie. And Desperado, I really enjoyed that. Rewatch that one again. Might move a little bit higher on my list. The only one I can think of that would join my list, because like I said, there's a lot of them that were around the bottom that would come and go off my list. I don't remember what all those were. But as far as a new movie that actually would already probably make the bottom section of my list, In the Heights. I really enjoyed that movie. That would already be in the lower side of my list already.
And one I just forgot because it was one I watched for the first time while we were doing this. It was California Split. Robert Altman, director I love at Nashville, and that movie's just a thrill. I think Gold's the best. That would probably be my 100 now.
Let me ask you guys this, because I know it happened to me when I was doing it. Is there a movie somebody else had you on your list? As soon as they said it, you're like, oh crap, I missed that. I definitely should have had that on my list.
Yeah, I have 2. The Shining was a huge one for me. That one was maybe the biggest one. And I was like, I don't know what happened. I don't know why that wasn't there on my list. Should have been 100%. I just missed it. And number 2, Goodfellas, because Goodfellas is also incredible, and I love that movie. Don't know why I didn't have it on my list, but The Shining is my glaring empty spot.
In Bruges was mine. Nathan has Bruges. How did I miss that?
I don't think I had any that I would just that anybody said that I didn't bring up. Die Hard, I knew I was going to use a spot for, but I knew where that was going to go. So, I did some strategic placement on certain ones. But again, like looking back on it, if you would have told me entering this, you're on a call with Ethan Beller for 10 weeks and he's going to bring up all 3 Lord of the Rings, I would have said, you're fucking stupid. And you learn shit, over time. So, yeah. Nothing that I was totally like, oh, damn it, Gremlins 2, maybe.
Yeah, I considered both that movie somewhere, but this didn't.
You're breaking up on us there, Brian.
What was that, Mr. Roboto?
All right, let's there's a question here for Brian, but let's go to the one for Cody. Joseph's asking, how close was Lilo and Stitch to making your top 100?
Kirk watched it from my list.
I did, yeah. Sure. Let's tell that story. Let's tell the story. Cody, how many versions of your list did you submit?
Too many.
Probably.
It wasn't after the deadline.
Oh, way after the deadline. Way after the fucking deadline. Probably 4 or 5.
Yeah.
If I was being honest, I never switched. I don't think anything from like my 50s on. It was always like the bottom half of where I was missing stuff. But yeah, Lilo and Stitch was in my bottom half, my bottom 10. And I told Kirk, I famously wrote, nothing is adding, just the things may move placements. And then he's like, I'm really glad I watched Lilo and Stitch for nothing. And I was like,
I watched Lilo and Stitch the next day. It's off the list. So that's how close. It was on the list, and I watched it. That's how close it was, Joseph. Brian, Joseph, I had a question for you. West Side Story, Parasite. Do you have those in contention for you?
I think West Side Story hung out at the bottom off and on for a little while. It's a movie that I really like, but I've never considered like one of my favorites all time. Parasite's one of those. I think I have it at like 4.5 stars, maybe 5. I don't know. It's one of those movies that I really enjoy, but it's not one that I felt like I want to go back and rewatch a lot. And I know that a lot of times, like I've talked about at the beginning, there's movies like Schindler's List. It's a 5-star movie, but it's not one of my favorites of all time. It's not something I'm going to go back and watch a lot. So Parasite was probably not in contention to go back and watch, but West Side Story it had a chance.
Malcolm's asking, is there a movie that was on somebody's list that you watched afterwards? Anything and had a negative or positive reaction to? Anything you watched because of everybody's list?
Yeah, Tim Brzakala is going to be really fucking pissed off at me because I watched the extended Lord of the Rings edition, not because of Tim Brzakala, because of Ethan. Basically, I mean, they can go hand in hand, but that was always a feat that I wanted to accomplish, but I just never. It's a long commitment, and now looking back, 3 things. 1, they've asked Middle-earth questions in trivia for about like 4 or 5 years at this point. Why they've just not accepted the extended editions as canon and just started asking questions because they're longer, so you get more questions. Writers should do that. 2, way better with the extended editions, which I think is kind of insane for me because I always appreciated and thought those were great movies, and I love being in that world. But I thought being in there longer sounded like kind of torture. But it was honestly an enjoy. I couldn't wait to start the next one. So I talked to this. I would put Two Towers being my favorite. I didn't think Two Towers being my favorite one would also be even more of a film that I enjoy with the extended adding time to it. So no, I think Ethan's 100% correct with putting those 3 on his list. Return of the King extended that's a lot, but I think they earn it, so I can't tell them that they shouldn't have that stuff. So, well done.
I ended up watching, for trivia purposes, the filmography of Noah Baumbach. And I know that Zach was Squid and the Whale and Francis Ha, I think were the only 2. I don't know.
No, I had 3. I had Kicking and Screaming.
Oh, yeah, and I watched that one too. I didn't hate any of them. I wasn't real impressed with Francis Ha. I don't know why. The other 2 I thought were decent. I mean, obviously they're just kind of not my thing, but at least now I can see what Zach liked about them.
I have not actually watched any of the ones from the list that I hadn't seen yet. There were a couple I rewatched just because I was watching them, or someone by like Back to the Future was playing at a park in on a inflatable screen, so I went and saw that. But I do have like a list of movies that I do want to see from people, and I'm still going through some of the old list from the episode. So there's a lot that I will watch, but I haven't really done it yet.
I didn't watch anything that I went ahead on the list because I don't give a shit about what any of you think. Motherfucker, my cat just bit me. Okay. Kian, like me
watch your
being mean.
fucking mouth. Watch your mouth.
He also just hit my brandy glass I was drinking, gonna break my tooth. She's being real rough right now. Actually, I did watch Strawberry Mansion that Ethan saw at Sundance. I saw at the Wisconsin Film Festival, and it is interesting and engaging. I liked it to an extent, and I understand why Ethan loves, especially seeing the rest of his list. So if you like surreal like shit, there's definitely something there for you.
I'll chime in on this. I think that was the best part of getting to, one of the best parts about hosting this was I got to watch a lot of movies that I wanted to watch or just wanted to watch. Or honestly, some of these movies I never would have watched. I'd never, for better or for worse, I never would have watched Marquee. I never would have heard of Marquee if it wasn't for Ethan. And it was an experience. It was a great experience, but it was an experience, and now I've had it. But yeah, I mean, I think I think either Ethan or Zach obviously were the ones I had to watch the most movies for that I hadn't seen before. I know I'd seen the most of Cody's, and I think next was Brian. Brian didn't have a lot of new stuff.
But Doubt, though.
Yeah, Doubt was solid. Doubt was really good. That I should have made a list of these, like my favorite movies that I watched. Doubt was probably my favorite, but Atonement was up there. Burning was up there. Mississippi Burning was up there. Lot of really good movies. So yeah, I mean, it was. I'd say for the most part, the stuff that I had to watch, I enjoyed the new stuff. So you guys introduced me to a lot of new stuff there. So
I have added a bunch to my watch list, just haven't watched yet. Like first time stuff like Brief Encounter, as well as rewatches like Pan's Labyrinth, which I only saw once a long time ago. So I want to check that out again.
Yeah, and I did a lot of. I mean, like Seven. I talked about that last week. Like I hadn't seen Seven in at least a decade and a half. And I was basically just reintroduced to it because Brian had all this. That was the last movie I watched for the show, and I was so glad I did because that movie blew me away all over again. It was really, really solid movie.
It's weird that Fincher is not like one of your guys that you watch all the time. It seems like a Kirk director.
He's somebody I like, but I mean, like Fight Club is a movie I've watched a lot. I haven't watched a lot, but like, I like his stuff. He's just not somebody that I go back to a ton. What else here? Put up Malcolm's question for Zach there, Cody.
No, I was hoping you were going to ignore that.
It's an important question to ask.
I have a really quick answer to this too. Fuck you, Malcolm.
You deserve last because we asked for 100 movies and you gave us 99.
You know what other bullshit? It's not a TV series, if anything. The point was the episode. I didn't pick all small acts. That would have been a bullshit thing of me to do. It's not a fucking show! It was actually filmed at the New York Film Festival. I have to hammer down, you're all just dicks. You just want to be dicks. I guess you like it. That's why you're on the internet, like some fucks.
Ethan Joseph wants to know if Cata Monte Cristo 34 was on your list or any contention for your list.
No, not even close. Count of Monte Cristo is like one of, if not my favorite book of all time. And I think that movie is a really bad adaptation of that book. And maybe if I hadn't read the book first, I would have liked the movie more. But I think he's asking that because I submitted it for Full Metal List one year. But I submitted it because I had just read the book and watched the movie. So I had all that info in my head. But I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just a really bad adaptation of the book. So I don't really like it that much.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat. Anything else you guys want to ask each other? Want to say before we get any final comments? Anything you want to bring up before we call it a series?
I will say I was surprised by Zach's lack of David Lynch. I thought he would be a David Lynch guy, but he is not.
Nah, just seen Eraserhead.
You should check out some of the other stuff. I feel like you might like it.
You know what my take's gonna be, and Paul's already called this. It's like I'm gonna fucking love Straight Story. Like we just know I'm gonna be all about Straight Story.
Actually, that's like the only David Lynch. I think it's the only one I haven't seen.
It's on Disney Plus. David Lynch, all about that Disney Plus action.
Brian, I'm gonna say, Brian, I know you're having internet issues, so we might lose you here. Is there anything you wanted to say? Anything you wanted to bring up before we closed out, or before you got cut off?
Yeah, I got. Now that's why I was like, I might as well just call it a night if I lose my connection again, because this is painful. But no, you guys kind of covered everything I expected from you.
Oh yeah, I must have missed Ethan's or Andrew's question. There's a movie you expected to be on someone's list that didn't show up.
Oh no, nothing jumps to mind. I mean, I like I said, I don't know Zach's taste very well. Ethan, I really had no expectations because I knew his would be shit I hadn't heard of. And Cody, yeah, he kind of had everything I expected from him. But so no surprises for me.
Yeah, I didn't know Ethan because Ethan refused to show up on the show until Kirk was hosting. So those are things we learned. But I didn't. I just think this is why I love doing the top 100. Like I don't care how many views it gets or how long it goes. It's just something that you get to dive into somebody else's home, like what movies they love, and that's my favorite part about hosting the top 100. Even though I'm not going to be involved in the next one, I'll probably just ask for the list anyway, so I can watch along and just watch the movies as they go and create my own opinion on them. Because that's my favorite part about doing the show is to explore movies that I would have never picked up in a million years just to do the show. So like Zach and Ethan's taste is far out from my taste as they possibly can be at times. They're interesting picks, so they definitely surprised me, and I hope Ethan comes back on the show at some point when Kirk's not hosting. It would be fun.
I will. I promise. My easy one is Bill and Ted. I thought that Brian would have one of, if not both of those movies that I have.
That was that was shock for all of us.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, like I was expecting because I had said Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure pretty high. I think my top like 20s, and I was waiting for the yikes, and it didn't come, so that shocked me. And then Bogus Journey, I was like, oh, I guess I'll have Bogus Journey. But when he talked about Excellent Adventure, he said that like neither of them were going to be on the list. Like that shocked me.
This was brought up in the chat earlier by Kathy of like who liked Rubber, and honestly, at some point I was like, Ethan's about to have a lot of like Quentin de Pro movies. There's like no way, and maybe you haven't seen them, but that seems like just right up your alley.
Yeah, I actually have not seen Rubber.
Okay. So you've seen none of his movies, which are all up those alley, right? Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen any.
Okay, well, will we do this list in 1 month after marathons, Quentin Pro, and they'll be all in this top 50.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I think that's just about it. Cody, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah. So again, next week, mystery thrillers. If you want to submit a list, again, I don't expect these three guys or Kirk to show up for a couple weeks or even months or probably the rest of the year. But if you have a list, please submit it in. We are starting our new start time next week and moving forward. That means top 100s will be at that time. That means stuff like that will be the running time. We will be 8 EST. So I bet all the East Coast people are really excited right now that they're not going till midnight on certain episodes. I'm excited because I don't have to go till 10 on regular episodes. But if you have a list, please submit them in to me. I want to close out the panel by like Friday so I can start watching stuff for everybody's list. Yeah, and if you have a topic, again, I'm not very particular with the show. If I'll let you host at least one time. If you never get asked again, there's probably a reason. But if you have a topic that you want to talk about, or if you just want to be on a panel, submit the topic to me and I'll put you on because, again, I don't care. You can host one show. Don't ask to do a top 100, please. For the love of God. I'll save your time right now. Do not ask to do a top 100 because top 40 is even a stretch. So, but if you want to do a single episode, come talk to us. Me, Kirk, or Koho. So, yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody, for doing this. Kirk, thank you for taking the reins for this past week. Again, I'm going to go do the breakdown of who talked the most and prove everybody fucking wrong that it wasn't me.
In the chat, real quick, who do you think talked the most during the show?
They're going to say me from the
you
bottom.
gotta realize you can't say it's me when I hosted 2 of these, and my longest episode to date is 4 hours. Last week was 5. Not a shot. Not a shot in hell it's me.
Because you got more into it here. And I think sometimes you just wanted to put on a show and shout.
Koho knows for a fact.
I think of the 5 hours of last week, 2.5 of them were you.
Yeah, Bar, I would say talk the most.
Guys, anybody else have any final thoughts before we close out?
Quick thank you to you guys for letting me do this. This was a blast. It was really fun. Even we joke about Cody's list being boring or Brian having like some really bad picks, but like I mean, Cody's got a great list of movies there. Zach had a really interesting list, and Brian, like we said, like he did just go with movies he loves, and that's fun that he likes those movies. So I had a lot of fun doing this with you guys.
Yeah, and I know I joked about the speed of Missile Time, and only in the sense like it's kind of hard sometimes to hear like movies that mean a lot to you. Me like try to do my best to articulate how much Winnie the Pooh like it means to me, and then I get like bashed. It is hard, but it's still like fun, and it's fun to hear other people talk about movies they love and to be part of this. Will I ever do a multi-arc series again? No, that's just long. but it was still enjoyable. And I will say, I'm moving forward when I do come back on YOS for any episode. I am never going to put anything else on my top 100 on a YOS list because I've already talked about it, and I'm going to leave space for new things. It's boring for me to bring up the same stuff. So they're all retired, just like Muppets. I retired Muppets on one episode.
You're never going to watch them again, right, Zach?
I don't have to watch Winnie the Pooh anymore.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh's retired.
Brian,
if people can still see and hear me, I don't know. But I agree with Zach in that I'll come on YLS once in a while. I'm never doing a multi-episode thing. This 10 weeks. I don't regret it. I'm glad I did it, but yeah, I can't do that. And even if I wanted to, I'm pretty sure my wife wouldn't let me. So yeah. So I'm glad I did it. But
the new host of YLS,
one shots for me.
Brian Michaels. That's it. I'm handing the reins to Brian. It's his new show. Enjoy it.
Well, here's the thing: is like for like hosting a show. I mean, I don't think I'd be a good YLS host anyway. I do like the idea of like doing it just because I get a lot of things I'd have to watch. It forced me to like watch new things I hadn't seen before. I like that aspect of it, but I couldn't do 10 weeks of hosting anything.
Well, I just want to thank all you guys for doing this. Zach, I think you're the one I knew the least out of this going in. I hope we're friends now.
Hey, we're an hour and a half away from each other very soon.
Exactly. Yeah, that's. But you really don't have a bond with somebody until you can look them in the eye and say, "What you love is stupid, and you're stupid for loving it." That's when you know you're real friends.
Don't miss.
No, he's.
But no, I love you guys. It was so much fun. I appreciate you all doing this. When me and co-host sat down to pick this panel, we really weeded through a lot, and we really put a lot of thought into it, and I think we made the right decision. One of my favorite things in the world is to just sit around talking movies. So I appreciate you guys facilitating that. Cody, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Do you want to say something, Zach? Ethan?
Yeah, really quick, because I forgot to, and I think we all probably feel the same way, but a quick shout out to Kirk for hosting this and watching a ton of these movies. Like, you really put the work in. There were very few that you didn't get to, so even if you thought they would be terrible or whatever. So bravo to you, Kirk, for watching all those movies, and thank you for hosting.
Thank you guys, because that like I said, was one of the best parts. I really enjoyed getting to see all that.
You're welcome.
Stuff.
You got to watch great movies.
Can we also give some credit to like the people who watched both of these episodes?
Oh,
like
absolutely,
50 hours.
Yeah.
Like
Everybody who hung in
always
there.
Here.
Yeah. Everybody who hung in and watched, especially the last couple weeks, stuck up for those episodes, or just were in and out and participated anyway.
Or went back and watched. You guys are
yeah. Everybody who sat through this, like Cody said, we do it anyway, but it's nice to know somebody's watching, listening. Yeah. We're not screaming into the void. And also to Koho for producing most of the weeks, putting all the work in, creating the intro and outro, which I love. And I already have ideas for next time, Koho, so we'll talk.
And to Cody, who had to be on the panel and run it when Koho abandoned his duties for a week.
Koho's got more appreciated after Cody is my everything thing. So now we know we need you.
I will say this one. I will praise Koho to the end of the. I need Koho for the show more than I could ever imagine.
That's why he did it, so you'd appreciate him.
But I think that's going to do it for us, guys. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking it out. It's been a lot of fun. And, we'll be doing it again before you know it. Fall will be here, and get your listen. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Drunk, get angry. Come on, break the lousy cup. Ow! I hurt my arm.
And not expect everybody.
I'm going there soon, you know.
Is that so? Where are you going?
Uruguay.
Well, you go Uruguay and I'll go mine.